Alright everyone, welcome back to the channel. It's time to do a tier list that people have been asking for. Today, we're going to do a 2025 Coronation Street characters tier list. Now, if you don't know how these go, I will show you all of the names. I added some of the new ones just who weren't there, because this is obviously a 2024 character tier list, but I added some of the names. And, I added some of the, recent additions like Brody Michaelis, Lou Michaelis, Mick Michaelis, Carl Webster, Theo Silverton, and the new James Bailey. So there are going to be some characters who aren't relevant anymore, like Gavin. But fundamentally, we're just going to go through this. And I think to kind of put a different spin on it as well, I'm also going to decide, obviously, it is my goats, characters I prefer, characters I like, indifference, dislike, dead end. It's also going to be a general guide to measure how many characters I feel like are dead end characters in terms of Coronation Street, because it's kind of a thing that people say have a problem with. So, yeah, alright, let's kick off. Obviously, maybe there'll be shorts made of this, maybe it won't. It probably won't be cropped too well. Alright, so first up, Adi Alahan. A character who I think, obviously, he's set to leave this year. A character who I think has been underutilized. I'm just going to put him in characters I like. I like Adi a lot. I think he's got a lot of charisma. I think he carries the comedy and the serious stuff well. I just think he was put in a pretty impossible position where instead of actually developing the character more, they kind of just went, you've had your storylines now, shut up, get back in the corner. Which I don't really think is the smartest way. Don't think it's the smartest way to do this. Alright, Abby. This one's kind of a hard one for me because I do like Abby, but I don't think the writers can help themselves with Abby. And by that, I mean they are so vehemently stuck on the idea that the second Abby is even remotely happy, they have to mess it all up. And I hate that when they do it to characters. Everybody hates it when they did it to Ronnie Mitchell. I hate it when you can't let characters sit for 5 minutes without twiddling their thumbs. Because, if I was any of these people, I would quit. I would leave. I would vanish from this existence and never come back. It's just, I like Abby. I like what she's done. But I do think the writers just like to drag her name through the mud consistently. And even relevant to now, her weird pseudo affair with with Carl, it doesn't really work for me. I don't see the chemistry. I don't really see the appeal. And I don't think they're earning the stories they're trying to tell. So, just because of how they kind of carry the character, I'm going to put her in indifference. I do like her, but I also am starting to get really jaded with the character. Adam Barlow, the man of 733 different haircuts. Character who's been all but missing throughout this year of Coronation Street. But he has had 3 hair changes. I do like Adam, but he also has become something of a nothing burger character as well. And I'll put him in I prefer. I do really enjoy him. I do like when he has stuff to do, but he just kind of seems content to just waste away, not really doing much. And even then, it's like, oh, okay, he's no longer with Sarah, a fairly big thing, had him at the forefront of a lot of stories. Now he's with Alia, and I'm pretty sure didn't she just come back off maternity leave? So, you would kind of build this nice little fleeting romance, but we don't ever really get to see them on screen together or either doing anything at all. So, yeah. I will put them in characters I prefer. They're just meh, don't like, dead end. Decent, my loves. Alright, Aggie Bailey. I mean, she has to go in dead end, not because her body of work was bad, because she was a solid enough actress, but I won't lie, the Baileys really did come into their own when she was gone. And I'm pretty sure it's kind of like it's kind of the like radio silence approach where they just went, yeah, she has some like autoimmune disease, and after the pandemic, obviously she couldn't really come back, and so they just kind of keep Aggie around, but they don't actually. I don't know. They don't actually. They acknowledge her sometimes, and we just know that she's not going to be back with Ed. But considering she's never come back since, and it just kind of, it makes sense. Like, why would she ever become not a dead end character if she's never on our screens? But she was likable. But I do think the Baileys kind of came into their own after she left, which is a kind of unfortunate twist of fate. Alright, that's Alex. He's going to be an indifference. I like Alex. He has very nice interactions with people. I'm glad that he's there, and he always should be in the cafe and should keep that job there. And obviously, a lot of his interactions are never anything but surface level. But ultimately, I do like him, but he doesn't ever seem to be given any more serious material. So I appreciate what he's doing, but ultimately, his character's never really going to have much depth. I'd love to see them try. I really would, but do I see them doing that? No, not really. Alright, next up, Alina. This Alina Pop, she was with Seb all those years ago, and recently she had that affair with Tyrone Dobbs and left with a baby in the belly, and then she re-emerged with baby Dorin, who might be one of the cutest babies in Soap and one of the cutest babies I've ever seen. This is where some of the... everybody has those characters they like despite everything you know about them seeming wrong. I kind of love Alina, and I don't even know why. I like her stupid, broken English phrases. I really enjoyed her relationship with Tyrone more than I should have. I think that's my biggest Soap red flag. I genuinely loved Alina and Tyrone, and I was upset when Tyrone and Fizz got back together and Alina left. I think they made chicken salad out of chicken shit. It was a pretty rough relationship, but I do just love it, and I love baby Dorin, and I'm in. Characters I prefer. She can go in there. Fine. Next up is Alia, I believe Nazir. She is a character who, once again, doesn't really do much, but they recently kind of polished off some of the edges. She's become a lawyer in training, and this means that she's got a whole new wardrobe design, and also means that Ali is actually moving somewhere with some upwards mobility. I like her relationship with Adam, and I do genuinely, I like her friendships with Dee Dee, and I for one hope that they actually give her more stuff to do, because she's ultimately never really been a huge character, despite being here for it feels like a long time now, and they've just never really fully invested in her. She was always kind of pitched to just be another background character, which I think, doesn't do her justice. So I'll put her in characters I like. Amy Barlow. I like Amy quite a bit. I think her consent storyline was pretty well done and interesting, and obviously being the daughter of Steve and Tracy kind of leads to a lot of good scenes. She also gets a lot of scenes with Ken. I like her. I just don't really... I've not really seen the vision for a while. Basically for the last 2 years, they've just teased, are Amy and Addie gonna get together? No. Alright, but, can they? And if they aren't, can you just stop teasing it? No, we're gonna tease it anyways. So I'm going to put her in characters I like. I do want to see her actually gain some momentum and actually be used, because she was really strong. She's done some good stuff, but they really just kind of undervalue what she brings and don't always offer her that stuff. Asher. I like Asher, but she's also kind of been given the Craig Tinker treatment, where she's now a paramedic, and that's the entire thing she does. I'm kind of sick of it. I'm sick Look, in some soaps, jobs just aren't a thing, but in Coronation Street, jobs are a death sentence. And so now Asha is a paramedic, which I believe. I mean, I can barely tell what she looks like without her sunglasses on. Not sunglasses, her actual glasses on. But yeah, I like Asha. I think she's got potential. I hope she sticks around. I hope she's not just kind of thrown to the wayside. And I would like to see more of her. I guess. Maybe I'll just say would like to see more. There we are. That feels a bit more reasonable a category. Next up, Audrey. Love Audrey. Not my goat. Not even really. I would be sad if she were to die. But also, the plats in wake of Gale's exit have been pretty underutilized and almost vanished off our screens. We obviously had the Max exit, but other than that, it was just kind of like, hey, Shona's going to be with Kit now. Okay. But I really, I do love Audrey, but right now it's indifferent. All right, Bernie. I don't like Bernie whatsoever. I appreciate what they do with the character, but I don't like the characterization. I don't like the hippie drug kind of characterization. I don't like her relationship with Dev. I vaguely like her relationship with Kit Green, but that's also carried by my love for Damon in Hollyoaks. I kind of like her interactions with Brody, but that is also hinged on the fact that I loved, I say loved, as much as you can love what JJ was in Hollyoaks, I still really enjoyed his performance in Hollyoaks. But I've been quite prolific by saying I absolutely despise the Winter Browns family. I didn't like Paul, I don't like Gemma, I don't like Chesney, and I don't really give a shit about the quads. So fundamentally, Bernie is a dead-end character for me. I'm not sure why she gets given so much material in this version of the show, and I ultimately think she is a dead-end character, and I would happily never see her on our screens again. Next up, you have Beth Tinker, or not even Tinker, Sutherland, whatever Kirk's, I don't know, whatever. Someone yelled at me for not remembering what her surname is, but ultimately she's a dead-end character. She got axed for a reason, and she was kind of a nice bit, part of the furniture. She didn't fulfill the Janice role, but she kind of added to a long line of the factory workers who didn't really do much, and then kind of didn't really do much beyond that. I liked the small bits of story they gave her, but fundamentally, I just, she's gone for a reason, and I don't think she'll ever be back. All right, next up, Bethany Platt. I'd like Bethany a lot more if she didn't keep circling around the same fucking points. I'd like Bethany a lot more if she wasn't obsessed with Daniel. But then again, Daniel's seemingly going to get with Dee Dee anyways. So when they get back, maybe Bethany and Ryan rekindle things, or maybe someone new. I wouldn't be surprised if they kind of went for a weird Bethany and Kit, Sarah triangle, let's be honest. I do like Bethany. I do think the issue is she's kind of on... Bethany's best work was 2016, 2017. That sort of time period with the initial bullying, then with the Nathan, the Neil Clifton, the Nathan Curtis, that story still, and a lot of these characters on here have never had those big stories. They never have. So, Bethany has earned her place as kind of not royalty, but she's earned a place in the upper echelon. But also the last period since she's come back, I feel like they've really undersold what she can do. And I'll also always remember that scene where she cuts the cake and she accidentally doesn't stab Daisy, but I don't know, something. That whole scene will forever be in my brain. So I do like Bethany, and I'm tempted to put her in characters I prefer, but I think it just would like to see more. And she has more potential. Well, I don't know why I just have one lone hair sticking up. But she definitely has more potential than a lot of characters here. And I do think she's been kind of plagued with shoddy direction. But she doesn't get to be in characters I prefer. Alright, Betsy Swain. Now, this character's quite a polarizing one, because first, she's a teenager. Second, she's a teenage daughter of a very popular, but also very toxically, kind of beloved ship in Swala. And both those factors result in Betsy getting a lot of hatred from the fandom. And I can understand why, because she is selfish and she isn't really a good kid, and she doesn't really look after her mum that much, and she kind of has a testy relationship with Carla. I like Betsy. I think she's got potential. I think, it's kind of the crop of kids where you have Sydney Martin, who plays Betsy, then you have Isabel Smith in Hollyoaks. I think obviously Isabel Smith is more talented, but I think Sydney Martin is also very strong, and I think she does fit the role, she does fit the age range of Betsy, and I just think that they probably could do with... It's just the issue with Carla and Lisa, where they are so terrified of making them happy for any period of time, that it just kind of means that Betsy is the problem child as such. So I would like to see more of Betsy. But ultimately, I don't hate her as much as a lot of the community do. So, I don't know, maybe that's interesting. Alright, Billy Mayhew, dead end immediately. I don't like Billy as a character. I don't know why he's been given so much screen time. I don't understand why. I don't understand why this has been... I don't know why he's been given so much time. Obviously, his, social media is a bit mental, so... I am glad that he's leaving, and it's just a shame that we're still seeing him through to 2026. I am sick of him. I hope he never comes back, and I am very happy that he was axed. So, sorry, Billy, but you are gone. Bobby Crawford, dead end, already axed, already a failed experiment that never worked. He was, I've already made my opinions quite clear on Bobby, so yeah. Didn't really have good scenes with anyone. Had scenes with Roy and Carla and Rob Donovan. None of them really worked, so it just felt like he was reciting the script. Brian Packham. I don't know about Brian, because once again, it's another character. Oh, and maybe this will be turned to a short, but I still firmly believe that Coronation Street does have a deadweight character problem, and I do think that they are so resistant to part ways with senior members of cast that I don't necessarily understand why. And Brian, for example, Brian Packham, is one of those characters that he's been here for a good 10 years, but maybe even a bit, I think even longer. I think he came in 2011, 2012. But even in that time, you point to 3 storylines he's had, and I just don't really understand the use. He's a serviceable background character, but when he does get involved in a bigger storyline, I do just bat my eyes. So I think he's probably going to be a dead-end character for me. I am tempted to put him in dislike, because the dislike category is just not being used. But I don't know. I just have never really taken to Brian, and I don't know if I ever will. Right, Carla Connor. I'm gonna put her in my goats. I'm not, and get the pitchforks away. I'm not a Swala stan. I do like Carla. I do like what she represents. I like the characterization. I like what they've been doing with her. I've been a lot more open to it than a lot of people have, because obviously it's she never showed signs of being interested in women. yeah, well, this is the storyline they're going with. I think that she is a pillar of Corrie, and she will be for the rest of time. And in my eyes, she is a character that you keep as long as she is willing to stay. And if she is unhappy, you make her happy, because she's been here a good 15 years now. I mean, even longer. She really has delivered a lot of really fantastic work, and she is a very strong actress. So, all in all, a lot of good stuff going for her. All in all. Next up, we have Cassie, who is Evelyn's daughter and Tyrone's mum. I don't know if I want to put her in dead end or dislike. I don't know. It's a weird thing where some of the characters I do just dislike, but I wouldn't class as dead end. But I just don't understand the use of Cassie, and I don't understand why she's been given such a prominent position. She's now with Steve McDonald. She has had huge scenes with Ken. She's had big scenes with Tracy. She's had big scenes with the rest of the Barlows. She has basically vanished away from her family, which felt like the main reason you were going to bring her in. Obviously, it doesn't help that Fizz and Tyrone have both been kind of AWOL in itself. I don't get why Cassie is here. I don't understand why the writers love her, and I would happily never see her again. She's a dead-end character for me. She is. She has to be. Like, yeah, sure, I could probably put Billy in dislike and Bobby in dislike, but I don't know. I guess I'm struggling with the variation. But yeah, Cassie is a character who's been given way too much for what she brings, and she could happily never be seen again on the show, and I would not complain. Chesney. I've said always that I really dislike the Winter Browns, and I've made it very clear. Chesney is the one out of all of them that I kind of dislike the least. With Chesney, you have a character who has been there for 20 years of his life, and he has grown up on the street. I just want Gemma and Chesney to be over, and I want to see him do something else. Like, I preferred him when, I enjoyed when him and Daniel were fighting over Bethany, I think it was, or Sinead, I don't remember. And I think he's just lost a real edge. And I don't think the writing they do for him is doing him any justice, because they're still wanting to depict that Corrie is still like a working class soap, but it's not. But they still want to have a token poor family to kind of depict that life is a little bit hard at the minute, but they just mess it up all the time because they have it be the most extreme of weird circumstances. So, yeah, he's in dislike, he's not in dead end. Chesney could easily be fixed. I suppose, I also look at this, could these characters be fixed? I suppose Cassie could be fixed, but they seem to have an idea of what they want the character to be. Bernie, no, that's fine. So yeah, Chesney in dislike. I wouldn't be sad if he left, but he could be doing better. Christina, Daisy's mum, she doesn't even really qualify for dead end character because she was only brought in for the Daisy stuff. So I like her. I don't like her. She served a purpose. She's not really a dead end character. I don't think she's important enough to be there. Hello, fly, flying around the place. Yeah, just in dislike. Didn't really leave much of an impression. I think this is Clayton. I think it's just dislike. Once again, it's kind of the characters who, they're not really important enough to hate, but they're also not really engaging enough to like. And Clayton is kind of brought back every now and then to have issues with David and Shona's relationship, which they still seem to keep going despite it not really being particularly interesting. Craig Tinker, I think it's just indifference. I mean, that's the reason why he was axed. His exit makes his, character more interesting, because they did make him, better than the sum of his parts. I do think he had a lot more potential, and he never really showed the potential of... Well, no, he showed the potential with the Bethany Platt stuff, but it's kind of the joke that after he lost all the weight, it suddenly seemed like his priorities swapped, and they just stopped viewing him as an actor, and he was given the death blow of just, you are a policeman, so you will respond to the police crimes. It's like, yeah, but I'm a character too, by the way. And obviously, in the end, they got rid of his family, so yeah. Next up, Daisy Midgley. I'm going to put her in my goats. Daisy carried the last couple of years of Coronation Street for me, and I'm glad that she did have as big an exit as she did. Mostly because they kind of had this endless cycle of Daisy and Daniel, and then you had Kit in there. And ultimately, Daisy was a highlight of it. I still think the acid attack storyline, stalking storyline, was very important. And fundamentally, it really moved me a lot in 2022, and it was probably my story of the year. And it led to the Ryan-Daisy relationship, which I also did particularly enjoy. I really liked Daisy. I know it kind of went in a cycle where at the start everybody went, wow, I hate Daisy, she's such a cow. And then she had the stalking storyline, everybody went, wow, I love Daisy. Who would ever hate Daisy? And then it managed to circle right back on itself because they kind of had the Daisy-Daniel endgame, which wasn't really my thing. I was more of a Daisy and Ryan stan. But hey, at the end of the day, I still think her body of work for the short amount of time she was here, she did actually establish herself as a proper Coronation Street character with genuine potential for her to come back eventually. Next up, you have Damon Hay. I think he's just disliked. He was kind of brought in this time period where Corrie loved the gangsters, and that in itself, I don't really understand why. Damon was somewhat interesting to kind of be this man that Sarah fell for, but ultimately you got rid of Jacob, who was way more interesting than him, and yeah, that's it really. It's just kind of an enviable cycle where they just went, but Harvey's here. Don't you guys all really hate Harvey? It's like, I just don't care about him personally. But isn't he this really scary criminal that's really in... No, it's not. But yeah, just dislike, not dead ends. I don't think he's coming back at any point, though. But, Daniel Osborne... I used to like Daniel a lot more than I do. And I'm glad that they have a vested interest in making him a character that always has stories. I don't know why they view him as such a polarizing figure, but he does typically deliver and do everything they ask him to. I guess he can be in characters I prefer, but it's very tentative and he's very much at the bottom of it just because he's always given stories, but ultimately the direction's a bit infuriating with him. I also don't know why he always has to be in a relationship and he always has to correct people, and I don't know. I'm glad that he has such a big piece of the show, but they've done a lot of stuff to make me not really like the character that much. David Platt. David Platt has to be in GOATs. He does. Look, his body of work speaks for itself. He's had a lot of really good stuff. His relationship with Gail is unanimous, synonymous with the character. His story with, the sexual assault storyline, the constant kind of sarky, dry wit that he's given. He does everything well. He kind of embodies the character. I would like to see a change of direction for David, because I think Shona's played out as a character. And I know that she's going to stick around for many years to come. But I ultimately genuinely believe I want a different love interest for David Platt. I don't and have never really vibed with Shona that much. And I don't know, he's just kind of an underutilized character. It's been years since he's actually had a proper big emotional storyline. And I want to see more, but I don't know. But he's in my GOATs, all the stuff, the Richard Hillman stuff being associated with that, the him versus Gail for years, and then Kylie and Tina, he's done a lot of good for the show, and I do believe that, I was kind of angling characters who I'd like to see 10, 20 years in the future. David Platt is one, Carla's another one. These characters I would love to see in the future. Obviously, Alina's kind of the wolf in sheep's clothing. Don't really know what she's doing there, but I'll keep it just because. Right, Sue Devaney. Wait, no, that's the actress. Debbie Webster. She's become the best bit about current Coronation Street for a long time. And I know everybody's kind of sad about the fact that she will be dying on the show due to her dementia. But they've kind of invested a lot of time in the future. She said she's staying till at least 2027. So they're going to wrap it. They're going to give this a lot of time. And I will genuinely believe that this storm will make Debbie Webster way bigger than the character was to be. But I also think it's a very bold choice to kill off a character who has ultimately been carrying Coronation Street pretty single-handedly for a good chunk of time. And the fact that everybody is a big fan of her does mean that it will be very emotional and very sad. So she gets to be in my goats. If you caught me 2 years ago, I would not have said any of this. But they've really done such a good job of making Debbie a unmissable piece of Coronation Street. And I'll be very sad when she does die. Dee Dee Hutchinson. I suppose I'll go on characters I prefer. She's had a lot of screen time over the last time period and is obviously the breakout star of the Baileys. I think I guess she's a Hutchinson, but wait, no, Dee Dee Hutchinson. That's a Hollyoaks character. Dee Dee Bailey? It feels wrong. Diana Bailey? There we are. Dee Dee. Yeah, it's fine. We're back. We're centered in. It's 30 minutes deep. Give me a break. It's 28 degrees in this room. She's had a lot of stuff to work with. She's been kind of the surprise entrant in the Baileys. I think she's the best of the bunch, and I do think she is a character when Ed's gone and Michael's gone. I do think Dee Dee will stick around and still remain a pretty big character. I like her. I think she's done a lot of good stuff. The direction, I guess, we could kind of criticize a little bit, but still interesting enough. I think it's always hard to keep characters relevant and active, and they may be kind of getting a little bit bored with it. But no, I do like Dee Dee. I do think she's pretty important. Who is that? Is that Maria? No, Maria's down the bottom. Who is that? Is that? I have no idea who that is. I'm sure somebody will be angrily pointing out in the comment section. Is that the woman who had Christ, I'm forgetting everything, with Paul, and she had the illness, had MND. I don't know. I'm gonna put her in indifference. I don't remember who she is. All right, Paul's dad. Dead end. No, not important whatsoever. Dev Alahan. Honestly, I'll verge him on dislike. He's in that kind of Corrie comedy foothold that just winds a lot of people up, and it's never particularly funny comedy. It's consistent, and he doesn't really do serious acting anymore. If you look at a character who probably just plays a version of themselves, probably is just Dev, all in all. I appreciate that he's there. I appreciate Addie and Asher. I like them as characters, but his relationship with Bernie sucks, and I'm kind of glad that he's been on a bit of a break, because maybe we'll get a bit of time away from having to deal with him as a character. I don't remember who. I kind of remember this guy on our screens, but I don't remember who he is. So he's going to go in indifference. Doran, he is my goat. Adorable child. Love that baby. Adorable as ever. He is fantastic. That's my little gimmicky one. He's just the most adorable kid actor I've seen in a long time. Dylan, Sean's son. I'm going to put him in indifference. I think he's okay. I think he's a solid enough actor. I do think he's played a really big part in making Sean actually likable. Because if this was 5 years ago, Sean would be dead end, buried, get rid of the character, never to be redeemed. I think Dylan's made a good effort to make Sean a likable character. And I just don't think he's been particularly compelling as such. And time will tell. Time will tell as to what they do with him. I'm glad that he's there, but ultimately he's not really my favourite. Ed Bailey. This is another controversial one. I like Ed. I enjoy the character. I enjoy how everybody points to him being a really bad actor. I think he is just playing himself in a way. And I think he does it well. I think he does it well. I like Ed. I like how he's not given that much to do. I enjoyed the I enjoyed the gambling story. I think he's a character who will either last another 2 years or last another 20. So I like him. I appreciate him. And yeah, controversial. Eileen. I'm supposed to love Eileen as a character, but I do think that she got very tired towards the end and definitely stopped giving a shit. I obviously do love Eileen, but ultimately I'm glad that she left. So, right, next up is that was Stu's kid. Eliza? I mean, just indifference. Just who cares? I think she's the woman who Ken was seeing, and it didn't work because Ken was two-timing her with a... I don't even... I think he was two-timing her with someone else from his past. Oh, that's the wrong one. I don't even know that is... Who even is that? Who the fuck is that? Who are you? I don't know. Evelyn. I'll put her in characters I prefer. I know some people are like, Evelyn's my goat and I love her and she's really... I also have no idea who the fuck this guy is either. Like, I like Evelyn. She is really good. I definitely think she's kind of had a bit of a... Once again, she's kind of garroted into the same position that Corrie wants her in. And she can always do all the snarky stuff. She has a really good relationship with Roy. But ultimately, I don't think we've been seeing the best side of Evelyn for a while. And therefore, she's not in my goat. She's just in characters I prefer. Fizz. I think Fizz is in dislike. I don't mind as much as I used to. Obviously, my kind of Corrie background comes from me really liking the Tyrone and Kirsty Soames storyline. And I've just never really felt like Fizz and Tyrone worked. They did a lot of good work to make the characters more enjoyed. But ultimately... it was never really taken to Fizz. But they've definitely made her more likable than she used to be. Gail Platt. See, I'm supposed to say I love Gail Platt, and she was a really great actress, and she really, like, stood on herself, and she had the Richard Hillman stuff. She had a lot of good stuff in the past, but in terms of, like, 2025, she vanished at Christmas, so doesn't really exist on the list. She's not my goat. She had a lot more worse years than good, and I'll probably just put her in indifference. Like, I'm glad that she's had the great, like, storied career she's had, and I hope she's enjoying her retirement, but also she was definitely on borrowed time. Gary Windass. I guess, I mean, the only real spot is just put it in, like, would like to see more. A cripplingly underutilized only till this last period. He showed a lot of cool edge when he was doing the Rick Neelan stuff, but it also kind of became weird when he started becoming, like, loving stepdad, only to just kind of... And then you saw the dark side that's never really going to be addressed anymore. So, I like Gary. I would like to see more, but also he's not my favourite, and I don't think he ever will be. Gavin. I mean, he's dead end. He's already gone. I liked him. I liked his stuff with Max, fundamentally. But, obviously, him and Sabrina never really lasted. So, yeah. Gemma Winter. Least bottom of dead end. I hate this character. I think she's horrendous. I don't like the writing. I don't like anything about the character. She just represents things that I just dislike. And she's loud, she's obnoxious. She's made to be She's made to be ditzy. I just don't like Gemma. I always will maintain this. The Winter Browns are my least favourite family on Coronation Street. Oh, God, now I have to... Right, George. I like George. I don't want to see more of George. See, this may be a bit bold because people do love George. I think he's a dead-end character for me. Like, him without Eileen, which they had to kill to facilitate him being on the show, I don't understand why he's beloved. And that's, I guess, what I'll say on that. Glenda. I know people loved Glenda. I'm gonna just put her in dislike. I'm glad she exists, and I don't want to see her out of a job for sure, because she does play her role quite well, and she embodies the character. But they refuse to give her any depth. I don't remember who this is, so he's going in indifference. I think this is one of Maria's kids. Indifferent. Harvey, dead end. I never want to see Harvey on Coronation Street again. I think he outstayed his welcome so heavily, and it just kind of... Every single appearance he'd make, I was just scratching my head at why they are still here. So, yeah. Harvey, I never want to see again, and I want that chapter on Hollyoaks to just be politely closed. Hope. I know everybody sees Hope as like the future of all the kids, and I don't know why. Like, there's the Flanagans who are just like in all of the soaps. We have Joseph, Hope, and Amelia in Emmerdale. I just dislike them. I dislike Hope. I don't think she's an interesting character. She's always kind of positioned as if she's better than all the other kid actors. I guess she is, but it doesn't mean I am a big fan. Izzy, I mean, it's just indifference. Like, I could easily see her leave, but also it's probably good to... I don't know how to say it in a way that doesn't sound like I'm just saying token, like, disability. But, like, I don't know, ever since COVID, where obviously she has a condition which, makes her more vulnerable, she was just never really used much, and she's just never really been used ever since. I don't really think she brings anything. She doesn't really have that many family ties. I don't know why she's here. Jack Webster. Just dislike. He's just useless, isn't he? Just not very interesting. He's both... Because, like, the actor's aging, he's aging up, but he's still only, like, 12 in the show, so they still have him have, like, minimal emotional maturity, and it's just weird. I think this is Jake. Who cares? God, how many more are there? Oh, Christ. Alright, let's start spitfiring. Let's start rapid firing through it. Jenny, kind of dislike. Her time in the pub was definitely needed to come to a close. I'm glad she's there. She does add a bit of class, but also I do kind of I am interested to see what they do to the character to give her a reason to stick around. So, Jesse, dead. And Joel, dead. He is just dead. Joseph, thoroughly dead end. Well, I mean, he's not a dead end character, just dislike. Ken, I don't know. They've just given Ken so much dodgy material over the last couple of years that I just don't know how to feel about him. Like, I respect what he's done, and I respect the legacy, but do I want to see more scenes of him and Cassie together? No. So he's going to go in indifference. Sorry. Kevin Webster. I don't like the position he's in. I don't think they're doing much good work with the character, and I think I think him and Abby need to split up, and we need to see Kevin find new love again. And I don't know what it is. Like, Sally and Tim are kind of insulated and fine, but Kevin, his position has never really felt too tenable, but he's gonna be there regardless. So, I like Kevin. but I don't like the direction of him. Kirk, he's dead end character. They never make him do anything serious. I know he's just there to be silly, dumb, like, character. And I don't think he's dead end because he could be doing way better comedy than he is. But he is just in the death spot of, hey, Kirk, say something stupid and looks dumb. And he's like, yeah, easy. Kit Green, I like Kit Green. I mostly like him because he was Damon on Hollyoaks. And he's become a very overutilized character. But still, I think it shows what he could have done in Hollyoaks if given the opportunity. I like him a good bit, and I want to see more. Lauren Bolton. I think just dislike. I would put her in dead end. I think they can't help themselves trying to. They want to build her to be the next Tina, but the difference is with Tina, at least she had the good moments that would balance out all the bad. And Lauren has just had such a horrendous. I'll put her in dead end. Now she could be better, but not with this writing, not with this direction. They just can't help themselves stop making Lauren like a tragedy case, and that just makes it so much harder to actually get invested in the character. They really think they have like the next rising star. Like they think they have the next like Millie Gibson, but they just don't. They just don't. It's just not who she is. Dead end. She's just not. And I think in a couple years' time, unless they really have a breakthrough, I do think she will probably be on the chopping block and never be seen again. Leanne. Thoroughly dislike, not dead end. Leanne can stay. I just hate the character. Fundamentally, I don't know why she's kept around. I am just always disappointed with what they make Leanne do. And at the end of the day, I'd put her in dead end, but I just know that she's going to be here for another 20 years. And at some point, there will be a sad storyline that I will like of her. Liam, he's alright. He had the good bullying storyline. He did good. And that is all I'll say. David's daughter, I don't remember her name. Not really, I suppose indifferent. Not really great. I think, I don't know if her name's Katie Lewis. She's obviously Joseph's stepmom. Just like Lisa Swain. I like Lisa. I don't think she's established herself as like a genuine Corrie star, but I do think with all the attention they're giving her, she will inevitably be. I just want them to get through the angsty stage of their relationship, then they can start to actually be fairly interesting. So, yeah, there we are. Maybe a controversial one. This next one, I think it's one of Mason's brother who stabbed him. Meh. As Maria, I just thoroughly dislike Maria. I don't really believe she's just not done much with her time. And to kind of go from who Maria was to just kind of being this like selfish, now she's a mother, now she must protect a child. Like, I just don't think she's interesting. I don't think her and Gary have any chemistry or are interesting as a couple. And to me, she can stay, but I would also get rid of her, just like Leanne. Mary. I thoroughly dislike Mary as a character. I think she is a waste of time. She is once again in that Kirk spot where it's just, hey, do comedy. And it's like, okay. And then she just says some like wacky things and then boom, there's your Mary time. Like, nah. Mary, like, I guess she doesn't have to go and she can stick around and that's fine. But like, if I never had to see Mary again, I would never be sad. Mason, he was alright. The bullying into his weird little redemption arc, interesting enough. I think this was one of Mason's other brothers who, stabbed him. Dead end. Max, I like to see more, but definitely a different time of the show, not this one. He showed himself off to be fairly okay, but was never like what they wanted him to be, but he was obviously a surefire way of way better than the previous Max actor, so which isn't hard. but is that Michael? Who the fuck is that? Oh, that's Miles. It's whoever Todd was with. Michael, indifference. He doesn't do enough to kind of avoid Moses. He doesn't do enough to dissuade any attention. He is okay. I think he fits well, and he either, I don't know. Moses, I mean, never seen again because they obviously made Theo for Todd. Nathan Curtis, yeah. Nick Tilsley, Nick Platt. I just dislike him. Really, he's that kind of stick in the mud, no fun, never that interesting, always a bit weird. Kind of, he's a character who probably aged the worst. And I know he's a recast, but I've never really liked Ben Price in the role. I think he's insanely wooden, and this constantly reflects in his performances because he never really shows that much depth. This is like Kimberly Hart Simpson, who played the Nikki, the escort that Daniel was with. She was alright, but when she came back the next couple of times, they never seemed to really have a plan for her. I enjoyed her though. I liked her and Daniel's relationship. But this is about 4 relationships ago. But all in all, I liked her. I mean, she's obviously no longer on the show, and I don't think she will come back, but she was alright. Nina. I'd like to see more with Nina, personally. She's been underutilized since Seb's death. And even then, they handled that quite rubbishly. And then they just killed Asher and Nina, as a relationship for no apparent reason. So I would like to see more from Nina. And I'd like to see her find love again. Is this Dr. Gaddis, or is that the teacher? Oh, that's Dr. Gaddis. The teacher who tried to seduce Daniel. Yeah, Paul, gone. Rita, I'd like to see more of Rita. Obviously, she's never going to become like a big focal point character anymore, because obviously she's had her time in the sun. But they do definitely underuse her. I would like to see her have more relationships with people who aren't just Jenny. I do think they are hurting themselves by not having a kind of talk to more characters. Like, obviously her friendship with Tina was always great. Like, maybe her and Lauren, if you really want her and Betsy, just a younger character to kind of have that juxtaposition. Ronnie Bailey. I'd like to see more. I think he is a decent enough character. I think his relationship with Debbie's quite good. And it's, he is going to play a pretty big part with the Debbie dementia storyline. So, all in all, I will say I'd like to see more of. And we will see more. Is that Ronan? I don't know. Whoever, the guy who groomed Leanne into a cult. Yeah, dead end. Roy. I can't hate Roy. Roy is a unassuming autistic goat. He's just good. He's just always consistent. He's Mr. Consistent. He doesn't always have anything of substance, but his relationships with the people around him are always very enthralling. Very good. It is a bit of a shame that Evelyn's gone, because we kind of miss out on that. But all in all, though, he does deserve to be in this spot. Ruby, I'm just going to put her above Hope, because I don't like Hope, but I also... It's the only Kirsty Soames relation we have left, and I am still sad that character was killed off screen. So I would like to see more. Ryan, I really like Ryan. I would put him in my goats, but he just simply doesn't do enough to justify that position. I think he is underutilized and is a perennial underachiever. Does good in anything you give him, but ultimately has never gotten the starring treatment. Sabrina, I like Sabrina, but she's obviously gone and will never be back. Sally, See, I like Sally, but I don't love her, and I don't want to see more of Sally. We get a lot of Sally, and she's probably one of the characters who's been here longest time, whose character still keeps being fairly intriguing. She can go in there. Her relationship with Tim's good. It's just she kind of plays the holier than thou, I'm better than you, etc., etc. So, yeah. Sam Blake, or whatever his name is. I know that they're going to try keep him, but every time I look at Sam and like Jude Riordan, I just look at him and think he's a nepotism hire. Because it seems like he's just one of the writer's kids. And I know that we're always going to see the like nerdy characters, but fundamentally, I just don't think he brings much to the role. I don't like, they always kind of. I remember them doing some mental like phrasing that Hope and Sam are like Ant and Dec, and it's like, what? What do you mean? Like, no. But they just love him. To be fair, he hasn't been used too much. And they'll obviously keep him, and maybe he'll eventually become something, but I just don't think. There are some child actors that never make the jump. I'm not sure he'll ever make the jump. Now, someone clip that and ship it in about 5 years' time when he's like not like 12. Sarah Platt. I like her. I know she gets a lot of grief because she's kind of makes a lot of things about herself and is a bit like kind of annoying. But they'll never make me hate Sarah. I think she's perfect, and she's obviously kept the intentions to stick in the role. So I think she's good. I just wish they kind of had a really long-term direction for her that didn't involve just finding a different man to be with. Sean. Honestly, as I said earlier, if this was 5 years ago, Sean would be in Dead End and would be buried. I actually somewhat have come to enjoy Sean quite a lot. I liked his stuff with Dylan, and I think they've managed to make him less eye-rolly than he used to be, because he used to just be quite nasty. Like, he used to just, he did his spin, he was just rude, he was just snarky. But they actually have made him more of a complex character, and that has actually made him genuinely quite engaging. And now I no longer groan whenever Sean's on. Like, I disliked Sean so much, I was like, what the fuck does he have over ITV? Like, there was always a big rumour that someone had just, like, cried and begged to be kept on the show, and in my brain that was Sean's actor. So, that shows how much I kind of liked Sean before. Shona. I'm going to put Shona in Dead End. She's not. You can still do stuff with her, and she is good. I wouldn't kill her off, but I just don't want to see her anymore. She can go in dislike. I'm just tired of David and Shona. I don't think it works. I don't think it's ever worked particularly well. I've never been that big of a fan of their relationship, and as time goes on, they just make the relationship more strained and and harder to invest in. I don't like David and Shona. I don't want to see them together, and I want to see something else. Obviously, Simon, he was terrible. Terrible actor as an adult, and just weird. The Corey Brent's dad, Steve McDonald. Steve is soap royalty, and he will always be a part of Coronation Street. But his direction is not what I really want to see at the minute. And if they do actually make him and Cassie a long-term thing, I will thoroughly dislike them both. Stu, bin. Summer, indifference. Like, she's not hateable enough that, like, everybody else hates her because she was overused. But, like, over the last time period, she's kind of become a bit more interesting. Dr. Galas, she's fine. Tim, I think he's at the top of indifference. He's a very consistent piece. He does decent humour. I just don't necessarily know if I'm enthralled by him. I like him and Sally. I would be upset if they split apart. But at the end of the day, I don't know. I just, yeah. Yeah, who knows? Who knows? Like, I'm glad that he's there. I would never want to see him leave, but I also don't want to see him do more. Todd Grimshaw. I do like this new Todd, and obviously he will be getting a lot more attention over this next period of time. But he is definitely not a character I love or a character who's my goat. I am just kind of sick of him, and I'm sick of, I don't know, like this Theo stuff. It's gonna have a lot of like clawed eyes. It's gonna be quite strenuous. Tommy Overton, terrible. Toya, I liked Toya when they were teasing the affair and they had the affair, but since they've gotten together, she's been cripplingly underwhelming and just slotted back in that. But I really do like Toya, and I wish they did more with her. Tracy. See, it was quite impressive for Tracy how she left for a time period and they made her more interesting than she has been. And ever since she's returned, it's been so underwhelming. They need to give Tracy something to do other than just being Tracy. And until they do that, I find it hard to actually kind of really like the character. Tyrone. Look, this one's just personal. Tyrone's one of my goats. I love Tyrone. I love him. I love the dim-witted mechanic. I just love him. There's no real reason for it. I like the Kirsty Soames stuff. I just love him. I just have an unbridled love for Tyrone Dobbs. I don't know who this is. He looks like the one who... She looks like the Chesney's kid's stepmom, but it's not. I don't know who she is. Yasmin, I'm glad she's gone. Never really seemed to work too well. There we are. Brody Michaelis. Obviously this is on kind of borrowed. This is because of his stuff in Hollyoaks, but I genuinely believe that he is one to watch, and I'll happily put my kind of cards on the table for it. Like I said, he played a really strong character in Coronation Street, but he, has had a much more staggered kind of upbringing into Corrie, but I do believe he will be a big character if he sticks around. Lou Michaelis. Honestly, with what they've done with the character, they have genuinely made her quite engaging, and at this point it kind of seems like a shame that she is leaving because she has actually kind of established herself quite well, but she was always on a short-term deal, so that's what you have. Mick, honestly, they actually did a really good job of Mick, and I'll put him in dislike, but that's dislike in good reason. They have done a good job of it so far, and I genuinely will say, for how underwhelming it was when they announced it, both, Kate Brooks has proven that it was actually worth it, and they have been a very important piece in this era of the show. Carl Webster, I mean, it's just strong dislike. They seem to want to make him a bit of a bad boy, and he is, so they're doing a good job of it. Theo, who's with Todd, I also will say dislike. I don't know, it feels like part of me is kind of worried that they are going to do like some sort of domestic violence story with Theo. And in the end, the partnership they're going to go with is James and Todd. But yeah, they've shown a lot of awful stuff. They had Millie, who I don't like. I kind of like the idea of Theo, but obviously he's been proven to have some more twisted edges on the character so far. So I kind of like Theo, and I'm interested to see where it goes. But I guess I'll put him would like to see more. But the framing is very odd. James Bailey, indifferent so far. He's not done too much since, and at the end of the day, he is just kind of there. It'd be interesting to see what they do with him kind of raising Dee Dee's baby, but obviously Dee Dee's going to have custody at some point soon. So yeah, that's my list of my, Coronation Street 2025 characters tier list. Did I miss anyone out? Do you have any opinions over that? Tell me in the comment section down below. I'm fairly fine with these being my goats. I could probably put Ryan in there. I you know, it could probably move some other characters up, but fundamentally, I think it's a pretty good list. Obviously, some characters kept from last year that I don't really have an opinion on or don't remember. So, yeah, tell me what you think about it in the comment section. I've been Ash from Watching Walford. At some point soon, I will do a Hollyoaks tier list for you, but, you know, that day is not today. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Bye-bye.